Good evening, friends. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Adit. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, then please subscribe to it. And if you appreciate my videos, then please like them, share them with your family, friends, acquaintances, relatives, everyone, as much as possible. So, friends, from the title, you must have understood what the topic of discussion today is. And we are going to talk about this very common concept of misunderstanding. Now, every one of us has encountered this scenario somewhere or the other in our life. Like, we misunderstand someone, someone misunderstands us, and then, then there are some conflicts, and then we have to clarify, that we didn't mean to say that, etc., etc. So, misunderstanding is not something which is unique or new to us. So, I'm not going to discuss about what is misunderstanding. Every one of us knows that very well. What we are going to discuss today is what we need to do when we encounter such scenario. Because we feel that this is a very common scenario and we have faced this scenario in our life so many times. So we feel that this is a very minor challenge, and then we can just get away with it easily. Sometimes yes, sometimes it is easy, fortunately, but at times it so happens that these misunderstandings can lead to severe conflicts between people, between groups of people, between nations, you know. So, since this misunderstanding is associated with human mind, this is seen everywhere. And if it leads to, or if it goes to a very high level or a severe level, then it might lead to a lot of emotional disturbance. Like, I see people getting so much emotionally disturbed because of, some misunderstandings between them and the other person. So it is very important to understand how to deal with this uh, concept of misunderstanding, which at times can become a major issue. So, basically try to understand this scenario. Suppose we are talking with someone and we are conveying our point to that person, and he doesn't grasp what we are saying in a correct manner. That is when the misunderstanding starts, right? Misunderstanding. So the other person is not understanding us correctly or properly. That is misunderstanding in simple language. So when the other person is not able to understand or perceive what we are trying to say correctly and appropriately, then the conflict arises. And when we realize that the other, he has not understood me properly or he has got some misunderstanding, then the first what we say, the first and the most important action which we feel we need to take from our side is clarify to that person that, please don't misunderstand me. I did not mean that, or I didn't mean to say that, or whatever I did, I didn't have any intention behind that, etc., etc. That explanation can be anything depending on the situation. But the first step which we often take from our side, or which we often feel we should take from our side, is to clarify our point once again, on a very urgent basis, I would say. Now, of course, first of all, this is a very important step and you must do it if you realize that someone has misunderstood you. But here comes a tricky situation at times. Now, many times what happens is that the misunderstanding is not because of our failure to communicate to that person properly. Rather, the misunderstanding can be related to that person, particular person who has misunderstood us. I will tell you how. So, when we realize that someone has misunderstood us, it is our natural tendency to start blaming ourselves. That mostly I did not say it in a correct way, or maybe I sounded it wrong, or I failed to communicate it to that person clearly, etc. So, basically, we start blaming ourselves. We start feeling guilty about ourselves that it's because of me that this misunderstanding is there, and then we just follow with that person repeatedly and try to communicate or convey our point to him that this is what I wanted to say and I did not want to say this, you have understood it wrongly. So there is a 50-50% possibility. There is a 50% possibility that yes, it might be true that we have failed to communicate in a proper way in the first place, which might have led to the misunderstanding. So it is 50% possibility. But that is not always the case. 50% possibility, an equal amount of possibility is that because of the other person's inability to understand you, what you were saying, he got a misunderstanding. That is also a possibility, and that is not a small possibility. In my opinion and in my experience, that is an equal possibility. That is 50% possibility. 50% of the times it might be our fault, but 50% of the times it might be the other person who has failed to understand us. Now, there might be a couple of reasons why the other person failed to understand us. Number one is that he really did not understand or comprehend what we wanted to say, communicate. Like we said what we wanted to say very clearly and very vividly. So there is no fault with our way of communication. But that person, for some reasons, for some genuine reasons, we can say, failed to understand at that particular moment what we wanted to communicate or convey to him. And so he misunderstood us. That is one possibility. So again, this is to do with that person and not with us, right? Second possibility is that uh, it happens sometimes that the person with which we are talking, he or she might be having some prejudices or some grudges against us in his mind. That's a very common scenario. Now, it might happen in your friend circle, relatives, family, friends, anywhere. So, if that person, for some reason, uh, has some grudges or prejudices against us, and if he is looking at us with those goggles of prejudices, then how much ever clearly we try to put our point, he is bound to misunderstand us. So in this case, it's not because we failed to deliver our speech in a correct way. It is not our fault that person is biased against us because of his prejudices about us, and because of those grudges or prejudices or those, I would say, wrong mental filters which are existing in that person's mind against us. He is looking at us, or he's perceiving whatever we are trying to say to him with those goggles of prejudices, grudges, and those unhealthy mental filters. So that is a major reason of misunderstanding, and believe me, that is a reason of misunderstanding in many of the cases. I mean, it's not very uncommon. So what I would like to suggest here is that, as I said initially in the video, that of course, if you realize that someone has misunderstood you, then please go and clarify your point. You should clarify what you wanted to say. You should also clarify what you did not want to say. That is very important. So do your job, do your duty, do your task of communicating to that person once again what was your point and what was your intention. So do your duty. But you just don't start blaming yourself for any misunderstanding happening with the people. So, because as I said, 50% it might be the chance that you somehow you did not communicate properly. So that might be the reason. But the 50% chance or the 50% onus lies with the other party also at times. So don't just come to any conclusion and start blaming yourself that because of it's me who is responsible for this conflict. No, don't do that. Analyze the situation properly. What that person is, who he is. Have you had any arguments or some conflicts with that person before? Is there a possibility that he might be having some prejudices against you because of those past conflicts or those past arguments with you? So try to analyze the situation, and then if you find that yes, there is a very much possibility that he might be having some prejudices against me, right or wrong, keep it aside. We are not going into that. But just the fact that there is a very high probability of this person having some prejudices against me itself should make you analyze the situation more deeply rather than just jumping to a conclusion and start blaming yourself. So if you find that the misunderstanding is because of the other party and you are not directly related to that, then what I will suggest you is don't forcefully try to persuade that person to listen to you or persuade him to understand or agree to what you are saying, because the reason is not you in this case. The reason is with him. The cause lies with that person's mind and that person's mindset of looking at you. So how much ever you try to convince him in this case, he will just not understand, because he is looking at you, as I said, he's looking at you and your speech with those goggles. So unless he takes the first step to keep aside those goggles of prejudice and those wrong filters and then try to approach you, the misunderstanding is not going to get resolved. So try to, as I said, clarify from your side what you wanted to say. But after that, if you feel that because of his own, we can say, prejudices against you, he's not understanding you or he's getting repeated misunderstandings with you unnecessarily, then don't try to push it any further. Just leave it at that moment. As I said in my previous video also, time heals many of the issues and many of the wounds. So leave it to time. Eventually, that person might realize that his perception was wrong about you. So give that time to that that issue or that relation to resolve. Don't try to force anything, because that doesn't work at times. And the most important fact is, in such a scenario, if you find that the other party is more responsible for this conflict and not you, then don't blame yourself unnecessarily. Even if you find that that person continues to look at you from those goggles of prejudices and misunderstandings, don't blame yourself. Don't trouble yourself, because what happens is the end result of all of this is that we end up troubling ourselves and we end up harassing ourselves at times so much that we suffer a lot emotionally because of this. So don't do that. Don't do that. So this is what I wanted to say, and I thought, this issue of misunderstanding, it might seem so trivial or so common at times, but it takes a lot of toll at times emotionally, especially emotional and mental toll. And I thought I would discuss this topic with you. So guys, if you found my video useful, then please like it, and please subscribe to my channel and help it grow more and more, so that I can share with you the more and more videos, more and more interesting videos on such topics. So see you in next video. Till then, goodbye, take care, God bless you all. Thank you so much.